Picture this with me, if you will. You're gathering together for a family reunion in rural Kentucky, Christian County to be exact. It's 1955. It's late in the evening, and by this point, you've already had a lot to eat. You're preparing to settle down for the evening, maybe with some games, some stories. It's a good old time. Suddenly, you're under attack. What are you under attack from? You have no idea, but you do what any good Kentuckian would do. You grab your guns and you fight back. For the next 4 hours, apparently. As we dive into this story of a family gathering at a farmhouse, some glowing green goblin creatures, and a gunfight that would last 4 hours, be aware that we are not reciting an X-Files episode, but one of the most well-documented UFO encounters in American history. Was it aliens, interdimensional gremlins, or just a drunken hallucination? Maybe we will find out as we dive into the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter.
I already have a theory.
Okay. Geese. You know what? I'm going to tell you you're a lot closer to one of the actual theories than you might think. Unless you think you're spot on, in which case you're not as close as you think you are.
I think that there is not another theory that can withstand my theory.
That's fair.
We should do an intro
Yeah, we should.
this time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything But the Cats, the only show. Yeah, you've heard it all before, probably. Actually, most of our listeners are like first time. The only show where we're going to talk about everything, every single thing. Picture it. Think about it with me. The cosmos. Picture the universe at the grandest possible scale. There is a black hole eating another black hole somewhere out there. Infinite universes with infinite versions of you and me, slightly different, some majorly different. Everything. That is what we're going to talk about. Except the cats. We're willing to talk about some cats. A cat, even. Cats, the musical. But if you so much as mention the cats around us, well, get out of here, Buster. I'm DJ.
And I'm Gage.
And my soup is here. Thank you, Angela. I'm sick. I've been sick.
I gave you chopsticks, a fork, and a spoon, so you can do whatever you want.
All my utensils. I appreciate it. I love you.
It's adorable.
I have utensils, so. Gonna use these guys like chopsticks.
Valid. Yeah, we're in the middle of a series. I say the middle. We're getting close to the middle of a series that we're doing called Creatures Unseen, where we talk about cryptids, UFOs, hauntings, things along those lines, generally paranormal and supernatural experiences and encounters, and the stories and theories behind them. If there are any in particular that you think are the most interesting, please comment them below. If you get to it before we get to the end of the series, we will do yours potentially. And if it's something that you know a lot about already, we would love to have you on to talk about it with us. If you're somebody who wants to get involved, please go ahead and subscribe, follow along so that you don't miss anything. But also, just reach out to us. We love the idea of having people on just to hang out with us and to talk about things that we are passionate about or that we just find interesting. If you have something that you want to talk about with us, just hang out, play a game, whatever. Let us know, and we'd love to get you involved. But go ahead and subscribe first. It helps at all.
If you try to get on our show and you're not subscribed, well, you just better scram, Buster. Anyways, we're talking about the geese of Texas.
The Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter in Kentucky, Christian County, Kentucky.
Oh, yeah,
Also,
sorry, Kentucky.
Also, I do want to say the last episode, which came out last week, was in Enfield, Illinois. This is in Christian County, Kentucky. They're not that far from each other. And almost everything that we've done so far has been on the East Coast or Appalachia. Because we did what? Well, okay, no, that's not true. Because we did Colorado with the Stanley Hotel. We did the Jersey Devil. We did the Mothman in New Jersey, Virginia, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. We did the Enfield Monster, Illinois. And now we're doing Kentucky. So before we
have
get
cryptids east of us.
Not me. Some of these might be like just straight north of me. But anyways, DJ, before we dive into this, as I said, this might have to do with extraterrestrials. So I asked you in advance this time because I want to be a better friend and co-host. What do we think and how do we feel about extraterrestrials?
You asked me in advance, and then I have slept a ton since then. And let me tell you, I was having fever dreams. I was delirious. And the dreams I was having were, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, the video game, recently. Great game. I've enjoyed it. Good recommendation from Bryce, who we had on the show recently. And the dream that I was having was like I was explaining to myself that the reason that I couldn't move my body wasn't because I was super sore and it just hurt to move. It was because in certain regions of Japan, you're not allowed to move. So that's why. So I spent very little time thinking about aliens and a lot of time thinking about the kind of socio-political status of people trying to move their bodies in Japan. And what I can say is this. I don't think they exist, but I'm not like married to that.
Mm-hmm.
I could be proven wrong for sure, and I don't think I'm necessarily right. I guess I would say from a purely scientific standpoint, they have to. The universe is so grand and vast, they have to. And I think that even within a faith standpoint, like you could still argue for their existence, and like that would be fine. Like what we know about God can be true, and there can be like extraterrestrial life. But until I've seen them with my eyes, I'm landing on nope.
How do you feel about okay, so first
Yeah.
and foremost, we had a professor in college, Chad Ragsdale, who argued that it made more sense from a Christian worldview to believe in extraterrestrial life than it did from a non-Christian worldview. Because in the Christian worldview, we have an infinitely creative God. And otherwise, everything just happens by chance. And the fact that we exist is one in like 500 billion anyways. So
the issue I come to with that is the question of like, so then do they have their own Jesus? Like, and that's if there's anything where I'm hesitant, it's the question of like, okay, so like, do we need multiple Jesuses to cover them, or like, are they just gonna keep dying and going to hell for like tens of thousands of years until we finally know they exist and go?
So two things on that too. One, who says that if God created them, beings with the ability to have with a soul, for example, then I believe, just based on the nature of God, that he would provide for them all that they needed to know in order to have a relationship with him. And even if what he's given to us as his word doesn't include their existence, that doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't give them anything. The second thing on that, there's a big theory, especially among Christians who don't want to believe in aliens, that says that they're actually demons, or the fallen, which is what demons are, like Nephilim, demons, stuff like that, Anunnaki, whatever you want to talk about.
If I think a ghost can be an angel or a demon, I can think an alien can be an angel or a demon.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I do think that like there is like the government admitting that there are UFOs and stuff like that doesn't mean extraterrestrial life necessarily. It could just be something. Could be a diversion of some kind. Could be whatever. All that really matters is that like I don't think it's black and white, yes or no. I'm pretty agnostic on the whole thing, but.
Welcome to our show where we sit on the fence.
Yeah, we do that often. Anywho, today we're going to be talking about one of the most well-documented cases of an extraterrestrial encounter in American history. So buckle up and let's go to Christian County, Kentucky.
What is in Christian County, Kentucky? It sounds familiar.
So there's a small town, which isn't even technically a town. I think it's barely incorporated. Actually, no, it's unincorporated, called Kelly, and there's a city there called Hopkinsville, which is just like a suburb of a bigger city, but I don't remember which bigger city. Let me look it up just to be sure.
Eat noodles while you do that.
Hopkinsville. Also, this is only like 4 hours away from me.
You should go.
Well, we'll get to why we should probably both go at some point here pretty soon. Okay, so it's not actually that far from where I used to live. It's really close to Hendersonville. It's really not too far from Nashville then. It's pretty close to Clarksville, Tennessee. It's like the first city on the border, like past the border from Clarksville, Tennessee. You go through Oak Grove and you're in Hopkinsville, essentially. Cool. I didn't actually look at a map before we started doing this. Anyways, in 1955, Hopkinsville had a population of about 13 to 15,000. Now, the reason I say about in that zone is because the way that most population is measured is a census is taken every 10 years, and there was a huge explosion in the population between 1950 and 1960, increasing by almost double at the time. It went from like 12,000 to almost 20,000. And so I'm just guessing that about 1955 it was probably around 15,000, uh, give or take. And Kelly today, like I said, is unincorporated. The assumption there is that it is super small, kind of just a little group of like there's a place you have to drive through on your way from pretty much anywhere west of the Mississippi. If you're going straight to Nashville, there's this place you have to drive through. It's a back road. I don't know why it goes this way, but there's this back road you got to go through. And if you're like going on this back road, you go through a small unincorporated area that has a population of like 30 called Gage. It's me. And there's like a Gage diner and Gage Street, and it's like, welcome to Gage. We passed all these signs, and I always wanted to get pictures, but I was driving on a country road, and I was like, I'm not going to die out here.
Do you think they have like a barber?
And funny enough, they didn't.
Oh,
Just realized they didn't need it.
They knew, yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm assuming Kelly is like. There is a website. Oh, let me rephrase that. There was a website for Kelly, Kentucky that just doesn't exist anymore. Like it was on the Wikipedia page for Kelly. The only information on Kelly was where it is. That's all that was on the Wikipedia page. So like, yeah, there's not a lot to know about Kelly, but technically this takes place in Kelly. It's just the closest major city or the closest major place to go to Kelly is Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville is about 7.5 miles away from Kelly, Kentucky. So our encounter takes place in Kelly, Kentucky, in a 3-room farmhouse that apparently did not have running water, did not have electricity, did not have telephones. According to one article I read, didn't even have books.
All those things are overrated anyways.
Yeah. So this is kind of a family get together. I don't know if I would say it was a family reunion, but it might have been a family reunion. It was just some kind of a family get together for the Sutton family. Now, it's Sutton because there are more people with the last name Sutton, but technically the matriarch of this group is named Glennie Langford, and she's 50 years old. This is her farmhouse. And there are 11 people, give or take, present. There are 11 named people, but I read a couple reports that included other individuals that just weren't named. But we've got the matriarch and widow of the family, Glennie Langford, who is 50 years old at this time. Her children from her most recent marriage, is my understanding, Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary. I don't know which of them is which age. I just know that one of them was 12, one of them was 10, and one of them was 7.
She is an old mom.
Yeah. Her 2 grown sons from a previous marriage and their wives, which are Elmer, known as Lucky, and his wife Vera Sutton, John Charlie, known as JC, and his wife Aline Sutton. Aline's brother, O.P. Baker, he's an overpowered baker. He's too good. Those chocolate chip cookies have over 9,000 chocolate chips in them. Anyways, and then Lucky, Elmer, one of his friends, and his wife, Billy Ray and June Taylor. If I've ever heard a Kentucky name, it is Billy Ray Taylor. That is a Kentucky name. And June.
If I've ever heard a conglomeration of Kentucky names, it is this meeting, this family hootenanny.
Yeah, you got Glennie, Lonnie, Charlton, Mary, JC, Lucky, Aline, Vera, OP, Billy Ray, and June.
Vera's such a good name.
It is a good name. So, also, apparently, this is, again, a lot of what I'm talking about. Their issue with a story like this is there are the original accounts that were written down, and then there are the embellishments. And a lot of the stories that were posted in newspapers, put on like, the radio and stuff like that, included embellishments to the story. I'm going to try my best to stay as close to the source as possible, but I'm going to include some of those embellishments. So, like I said, there were a couple stories that mentioned the children of her older sons, of Glennie's older sons. So they might have had children. The main story doesn't include that. Says there were 11 people present, and I have 11 names. So do with that what you will. So we have these people. The setting of our story is that we have 11 people with very little resources. These people are nearly 7 miles away from the nearest town, and they're having some kind of celebration on this hot Sunday evening of August 21st, 1955. So at some point in the evening, which we believe based on the firsthand accounts, also I will say the descendants, children and grandchildren who were present ended up retelling the story later, and I'm pretty sure the great granddaughter of one of the people involved here ended up writing 3 books about it. And so some information comes from that.
Love that.
And she will potentially come up later in the episode as well, for a different reason than you would expect. Probably not, but she might come up later. So at 7 p.m., Billy Ray goes into the backyard to get water from the well. So they don't have running water, but they do have a well. They're in rural Kentucky. They're in a holler probably, and they're trying to go get some water from the well.
They have a well and they have guns.
And they have
what
guns.
What more could you want?
You got to be able to hunt and protect yourself if you're living off the land.
It's true. It's true.
So he sees a silver object in the sky that he describes as real bright, with an exhaust all the colors of the rainbow. And it's coming toward him in the house slowly. And then it goes past the house, goes to a spot where there are a bunch of trees, kind of goes to a hill, essentially. A valley almost. And then it just slowly lowers into that valley beyond the house. So he comes inside, and he said it was silent, it was quiet as it was moving through the air. He comes inside and tries to explain what he just saw to everybody, and they all laugh at him. They're all just kind of like, dude, that's crazy. Why would you didn't see anything? What are you talking about?
Was it Elmer?
No, it was Billy Ray.
Billy Ray. Get wrecked, Billy Ray.
Yeah, you and your achy breaky heart.
That's a good joke, Gage.
About an hour later, they notice that the dog has been barking constantly, freaking out, being scared, running around, just terrified of something. And so Lucky, Elmer, and Billy Ray go outside to see what's happening. And they see a weird glow moving through the trees. It's like something that's bioluminescent, something that's just glowing, moving through the trees. And they see pop out from behind the trees what they describe as a humanoid creature that appeared to be between 2.5 and 4 feet tall. 3.5 is kind of what I'm going to go with. That's what most sources go with. So they see this creature that looks humanoid, but it has a huge, round, bald head, no neck. Its body looks almost like a gas can, like the old metal gas cans, with really long arms that look like they end in claws that almost touch the ground, and short legs that don't look like they have knees. So as this thing is moving, it's wobbling side to side, almost like it's wading through water as it's kind of moving across the ground. And it's just kind of looking at them, and it's got this big bald head with these big yellow eyes that aren't quite on the side of the head, but they're also real not close to each other. They're close to the edge, essentially. And they were glowing. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm picturing Roger from American Dad. So,
and that's probably what he was based on. Actually, these are famous.
Yeah.
And they said the body gave off a shimmer, almost like it was made of silver. It shined like something made of silver wood or steel, stainless steel.
Gotcha.
So, what do you think they do when they see this thing?
They run back inside and grab their guns.
That is precisely correct. They run back inside, they grab a 20 gauge shotgun and a 22 rifle, and they take aim.
I've been
Go
to
ahead.
Kentucky before. I don't mean to brag.
So, according to their account, essentially they point the guns at it and it raises its hands. like it knows what's going on here. It's been in a holdup before. And it like raises its hands, but it keeps approaching. So they shoot it.
My word.
What do you think it did when they shot it?
It hissed like a cat.
It did a backflip and then ran back into the woods.
That's dope.
That's so dope.
Man.
So
that's wild.
Yeah. Now, this is the beginning of, like I've already said, a 4-hour encounter. This is the beginning of it. But before we get into the rest of this encounter, we have another advertisement that I would like you to read.
Y'all ever been sitting on the porch, enjoying a nice glass of sweet tea, when suddenly you spot a shiny little space critter doing somersaults off your chicken coop? Well, friends, you might be suffering from a classic case of goblin invasion. But don't panic. Just call the professionals at GOB-B-GONE, your #1 locally owned and intergalactically certified alien removal service. Whether it's glowing eyes in the window, claws on the gutters, or just some real weird hootin' going on in the holler, that's a good line, Gage. GOB-B-GONE offers 24/7 emergency service, non-lethal roof clearing brooms, and yes, complimentary anti-abduction ankle weights. Our patented Gremlin Getter Spray contains a proprietary blend of possum musk, rock salt, and Tabasco, guaranteed to send even the most persistent extraterrestrial back to the Andromeda Galaxy with their weird little feelings hurt. And don't take our word for it, just ask satisfied customer Lucky Sutton, who says, "They ain't been back since I sprayed the outhouse." So don't let glowing goblins ruin your night. Call GOB-B-GONE today. We'll bring the flashlight. You bring the nerve.
And now back to the usual messaging.
Back to your programming.
So, with almost no time passing after they shot the first creature, they see another similar creature peeking into one of the windows of the house. And so they shoot it through the screen.
Does another backflip? That's their getting shot protocol.
Yeah, their protocol is like, raise your hands, and if they fire, do a backflip. Do a barrel roll. They just played a lot of Star Fox, actually.
That makes sense. That seems the reason.
This is how you interact with humans. So this goes on for a while. They never see more than one at a time. They never see more than one of these creatures at a time, but consistently over the next few hours, they see them peeking in through the windows, and they'll shoot at them, or they'll see them like in a tree and they'll shoot at it or something. Go ahead.
We've talked about the list of things that they didn't have. They didn't have running water. They didn't have electricity. Did they not have like blinds? Like I feel like problem solved.
I don't know. See, but like, okay, if you saw this, like these kind of creatures just walking toward your house, float into your house, whatever they're doing, and they start like getting on your windows, snatching your people up.
Let's say I do have blinds. I don't have access to the outside world. So I can't just call the cops, because that's what I would do if they were doing this to my house. I can't access the outside world, but I do have blinds. I'll tell you what I do. I put the blinds down, and then they are tomorrow's problem. Like, we'll see what happens. If they want in, they'll get in. And that's that. Like, problem solved. We'll continue our family thing. They'll continue their family thing on our porch. Yeah, like I would much rather just pretend that there's no problem at all until all of a sudden there is.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know. I assume that they just, I don't know, they were afraid. This is something we'll get to in a little bit, but there were apparently medically trained people who confirmed that they were scientifically afraid.
Right.
That's a real thing I heard someone say about this.
That's so dumb. With all due respect to whoever said that.
It makes more sense when we get to that point, kind of. But anyways, in the midst of this, like the beginning of this siege on their house, Glennie Langford goes into the hallway. Go ahead.
So real quick, you say siege. So far, these guys have just shown up and gotten shot at. Like that is a list of the hostile actions they've taken. Been
Yeah.
nearby, gotten shot, done sick backflips. Like that's one reason I'm like, I'm just gonna put the blinds down. You know, maybe we won't have to deal with them anymore. Because like so far, all these guys have done is exist. Maybe.
Maybe. Well, and actually, like, most of their actions of the creatures, they really just seem curious. Like, they're not doing anything necessarily harmful. However, they do directly interact with somebody here in just a second. So, in the beginning stages, Glennie Langford, she goes into the hallway. She gets next to Billy Ray, who's like, you know, they're inside. They're like essentially holding up like they're in a fort or something, just firing whenever they see something in the windows. And she goes into the hallway next to him, and she says she sees one of them like just through the doorway or through the window. And she described it. This is where I got this part of the description. She described it as looking like a 5-gallon gasoline can with a head on top and small legs, shimmering like the metal on her refrigerator. So here's my question. If they don't have electricity, why does she have a refrigerator?
Correct, Glennie. She could have an icebox.
She could. So Billy Ray, at one point. Okay, so this one, again, this is where the different accounts kind of conflict a little bit. This is either Elmer or Billy Ray Taylor steps out under the overhanging roof, and the people inside behind him see a hand that looks like a claw come down off of the roof and touch his hair, and he feels it touch his hair. And so they like pull him inside, and then he shoots at the roof from inside, essentially.
And they hear a backflip.
Yeah, they hear a backflip. And at this point, they are seeing 1 to 2 creatures at a time, never more than a couple. It's basically only one, but when they see the one and it does its backflip and disappears, they'll see it somewhere else. And so there's the assumption that there's multiple instead of just one, even though they only really ever see one fully at a time. Pretty
Alien
quickly
shows up.
No, go ahead.
Alien shows up, says, "Take me to your leader." They're like, "Well, Mama's over here."
Yeah, they're like, "Mrs. Langford, you got a guest? Do we got enough food for him out in that holler over there?" Anyways, so this is all going on. There's a bunch of stuff. Essentially, they don't hear any noises from the creatures. They just see them, and the only noises they do hear are when they interact with something. So like they would hear them crawling on the roof. They would hear them like scratching on the screens of windows and stuff like that. There was one point where one of them was in a tree nearby, and so they shot at it, and it floated down and then scurried back behind the tree.
Weird.
Yeah, and so they have all of these weird little encounters that are happening, and they do this, like I said, for nearly 4 hours. So they're just hunkered down, shooting at anything they see. The creatures, again, they're not doing anything. They're just kind of like looking. They're interested. They're curious. Like extraterrestrials aside, if you're a fish and you're swimming along and a human pops into the water, you're either going to be terrified of it or swim away, or you're going to be curious and you're going to be like, well, that's a weird looking fish. And you're just going to like go up to it a little bit. Like that's what sharks do a lot. They kind of just go up and they're like, oh, this is weird. This isn't like a normal fish. Bite a little bit. No, that doesn't taste like a fish. You know, like, so that's, I would assume it's kind of a similar thing where they're curious. And, you know, humans, especially American humans, when faced with curious individuals, pull out their gun.
So true. So true.
It's like that self-defense episode, that self-defense video by Derek Comedy. See, what you're going to do is you're going to get wrist control. Yeah, see, I can control you here. And then you pull out your gun. That's
how you're trapped in the trunk of your car.
They are bound and tied up in your trunk. They're going to mug you from your trunk because they want to buy crack.
Man, I would love a reunion tour.
Oh my gosh, same.
Hey, Derek, if you're listening, was one of them named? Maybe one of them was. I don't know.
I don't think any of them were named Derek.
Childish Gambino, you're not bigger than the rest of them.
Not at all.
Please get back together.
Only one of them has been in the Spider-Man movie.
Just because you're the only name I know, and not only that, I know 2 names for you. Doesn't mean you're bigger than the rest of them. Get back together.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're all like still friends. And I know that the other guys have been in other movies.
Yeah.
And the smart one, he has written books that apparently
Believe it.
school teachers will like assign for reading in like middle school and high school now.
I'm gonna look up a name to see if I know a name.
Pretty sure I saw a post about it on like Tumblr or something back in the day. And he responded to it. That was the funny part. It might have been Twitter. Who knows? Anyway, so this goes on for a while, and at some point somebody points out, I don't know who, someone points out, hey, it looks like they're not threatening us. We can probably go to our cars and leave.
Yeah, good idea.
And so all 11 of them go out, get to their cars, and they book it to the police station in Hopkinsville. So a 7-mile drive, that's not too far. Might take 15 minutes, depending on what speed they're going. They could have been going really fast. Who knows? But they get to the police station a little after 11:30 is probably a good timeline for when they get there. So the police, imagine this, it's late, it's almost midnight, you're hanging out, you're at work, you're like, man, it's a long night, this is rural Kentucky. You're a cop.
I'm a cop.
You're a cop. 11 people bust into your thing. Did I tell you that 4 of them, according to some reports, were carnies?
No, that's fun.
Yeah, so I can't believe I missed that part.
That's all right. 4 of them are juggling.
Yeah, according to some reports, Elmer, Vera, Billy Ray, and June all worked together as carnival workers.
Okay.
Itinerant carnival workers.
This is related, unrelated. If you're listening to this, I am wanting to learn more about like the Romani peoples. Gypsies is kind of the slur, but that might be more commonly known. I'm wanting to learn more about them. So, if you have any reading recommendations for books that are available on Kindle, let me know, and I would love to learn more. Anyways, that's just an aside. Brayton or Garrett, if you guys have any reading recommendations, pass them on.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of the makeup. So you've got 11 people just bust into the police station, and they start talking about how they were in a 4-hour shootout where they apparently went through multiple cases of ammunition with seemingly non-hostile extraterrestrial creatures.
I feel like going through multiple cases of ammunition isn't like crazy. Like they also probably have done that just like against no one, like against a pumpkin.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
That's my opinion. It was pumpkins.
Yeah. Okay. So the officer listens to the story, pretty much in utter disbelief the entire time. But because there had been shots fired, and because they there was this assumption potentially that they had been drinking or something. So because there was kind of this assumption going on that they could have been in some kind of a drunken dispute with a neighbor, this officer, the chief of police in the area, decided to call for backup. And boy, howdy, did backup arrive. There were 4 city police officers, 5 state troopers, 3 deputy sheriffs, and 4 military police officers that were from Fort Campbell.
This guy's like, send anyone who's kind of bored right now.
Pretty much.
There
was also apparently a photographer from the Kentucky New Era and a couple other reporters and even some bored locals who were still up at that late and just heard the commotion, decided to come out too. So the investigators get there. They find no evidence really of anything being there. There's nothing in the reports that says anybody went and checked where the ship had supposedly landed. There's no evidence anybody did that night, but they did at some point look, and they found nothing there. They find no physical evidence of any creatures being present. There's an area where they said that they had shot one of the creatures, and the investigators looked and said that if you looked at it from the right angle, it looked like there was some kind of a glowing substance on the ground there. But you had to look from the right angle, and any other angle, it just looked normal. Could have been nothing. What they did find, however, was they found many of the window, like the glasses, the glass of windows broken. I said it earlier, the mesh stuff on windows. What is that called?
Screen?
Yeah, the screens. Window screens broken. They found the frames broken. They found bullet casings for shotgun shells and for 22 rifle ammo. They found all kinds of that around. But that's really all they were able to find. Now, as I said earlier, there was kind of this assumption they could have been drinking. They found no liquor, no alcohol whatsoever. There were no empty bottles. There were no broken bottles. There were no hidden bottles. And Mrs. Langford was adamant that she kept a sober household and was proud of that fact. And so, like, there's no evidence anybody had been drinking or anything. They all claimed they were
hiding
sober.
It from Mama.
So that was kind of what they discovered. They discovered nothing, zilch. And so, this is about midnight at this point, and maybe a little later, and they're just kind of like, well, we brought 16 officers out here, and there's nothing to see. We're going home. So the officers get up and leave. They get their basic statements. They have somebody do some like sketches of what the people had seen, and that's kind of just roughly how it goes. But at about 3:30 in the morning, they return. The creatures.
The 16 detectives?
Yeah. No, the creatures return at roughly 3:30 in the morning. That's actually what I call detectives now, is creatures.
All cops are creatures.
Just scratching on the windows. You just see like a 1950s era police hat. Rubbing his
cop.
But yeah, apparently Mrs. Langford claimed that she saw one outside of her bedroom window, rubbing its claw-like hand against the screen repeatedly. Oh,
I mean, that's probably like a sensory thing. Like,
it might be.
Ooh.
I think most of it is a sensory thing. Most of it is just curiosity. But anyways, this is what's going on. This is what happens. The officers return in the morning and the family is gone. Everybody is gone. The neighbors say that they left because of the reappearance of the creatures. They were just like, we don't want to deal with this. We're going to leave. We're going to go somewhere else. And for pretty much the next couple of days, they were all separated. Now, on that, not like intentionally, they just kind of were doing their own thing the next day. And they were each individually interviewed without having a chance to like corroborate stories or anything. And they described almost exactly the same things. The differences would be minor details. Like someone would say, oh, well, I didn't see a nose, but I wasn't like looking for a nose. And someone else would say, yeah, it had a pointy nose that had a ball on the end of it or something like that. And they would say these little things. Again, this is a little bit of what might come up in the embellishments as time goes on. But essentially, they all told the same story. And so this is strange. And because of how strange it is, because of how like out of the ordinary it is to have a gunfight with aliens.
Yeah, I haven't done it.
The media takes this everywhere. So the media coverage was widespread. Radio stations and newspapers, both local and international, covered the story. Even newspapers as big as the New York Times covered the encounter. This would lead to hundreds of people, maybe thousands, coming to the farm to see if there was anything to see or to mock the family. A lot of people actually came to mock the fammy.
Man.
Which is so unfortunate.
Times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
back in the day.
These people think they saw aliens.
I should drive hundreds of miles to their house and mock them.
Yeah, and so what they would do is they would, they'd make fun of them. They'd be like, "Oh, you guys are stupid. You think those were aliens?" Or they'd be like, "You're just making up a story." The problem with that, we'll get to it a little bit more detail, but almost nobody in the family like wants the attention. Like none of them enjoys the attention. So like it's really difficult to believe that they were making it up, and they were genuinely afraid. As I said earlier, it was scientifically provable that they were afraid. There was a doctor at the police station who apparently took their heart rate, and it was double what it normally would be, which is a sign of fear, apparently.
Because he had theirs on file already.
Double what a healthy human of that age and sizes would be. I guess.
Yeah, but so's mine. I'm not afraid of anything right now. I just am unhealthy.
So the family eventually got so upset about the people who were coming by,
It's fair.
mostly the people making fun of them, but
Yeah.
genuinely, they didn't really like the attention. So they started putting out no trespassing signs, and people were ignoring those. And so eventually they started being like, okay, if we can't stop you from coming, we're just going to start charging you.
Love that.
And so they charged people 50 cents to see the farmhouse and the land it was on, $1 for information. So to ask questions, you had to spend $1,
Love that.
and $10 if you wanted to take pictures. So at this point, the skeptics, which apparently was a lot of the people coming, decided that they had one more thing they could make fun of them for, being cheapskates.
Hey, that'll cost you 50 cents though.
Which is great. No, like, I'm actually very fond of the idea of, like, if people aren't going to leave me alone, I might as well have them pay me for it.
Speaking of which, Gage and I, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, we will have launched a Patreon. Patreon has one tier, and that is $500. And we don't expect anyone to purchase it. If you do, it's your fault. If you pay us $500, we'll get on a video call with you and tell you about the cats. So we're cheapskates. There's another ad read for you. We don't want.
Go ahead.
Please listen to me. Don't buy it. Please do not purchase it. We don't want you to.
We would be putting our lives on the line by telling you about the cats. That's why it's $500.
Yeah, that's how much we value our lives.
That's how much we value ourselves.
Approximately $250 each. So
that's great. But yeah, so like I said, the tales started to get crazier. What was originally a few creatures turned into a dozen to a few dozen creatures. What turned into maybe going through a few cases of ammunition turned into going through like 100 cases of ammunition. What went from, hitting a creature and it doing a backflip and then running back into the woods turned into like they were firing back and stuff like that. So there were embellishments for sure.
I shot this creature and then it backed up a few steps and then ran and did a Simone Biles like quadruple twist front flip. Went 12 feet in the air. It was like it was floating. I have a new theory about what these things were.
Yeah.
Simone Biles is.
They were actually just gymnasts.
Yeah.
Boom. They were gymnasts who fell in silver paint.
Yeah. We've all been there.
It's the 50s. It's gymnasts who ate too much lead.
Well, they became lead colored. That's funny.
They became lead colored. I used to think pencil lead was the same as lead.
Hey, graphite.
Yeah. But anyways, these little men were described as silvery in appearance and color, but they were little men. At the same time, there was another story in Kentucky of a woman who saw a spaceman that she described as being 6 foot tall and in a green suit. Because of the media coverage of both of these stories and stories constantly getting embellished, they kind of got combined, which in turn is where we get the moniker for aliens, Little Green Men. So this is the origin for the most famous image that we have of aliens. So yeah. So this all happens. It never happened again to them. It just happened that one night, throughout the whole night, and then just never again. Strange. What was it? I know your theory that it's gymnasts.
Yeah, or geese.
Or geese.
Yeah.
So here are the theories. The first theory, as I said earlier, is that there was some kind of a shared delusion or alcohol-induced visions. Again, no alcohol was found on the premises, and Mrs. Langford was adamant that it wasn't the case. However, it is possible that they had hidden some alcohol. There are a number of skeptics nowadays, especially, who say they probably just kept it hidden. Like it might have been in one of their cars, something. And so that doesn't explain how all of them saw and described the same creatures, though.
Social contagion.
Yeah, even social contagion doesn't really, because unless they were actively describing them to everybody else while shooting at them in fear.
This one's gray.
Yeah, this one's silver. Its body looks like a 10-gallon gas tank, and it has a head like a bulb with two eyes, not quite all the way to the side, but also kind of to the side. No neck. Its legs don't have knees, and it just kind of wobbles. It's got long arms with claws on the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like that.
yeah, that's kind of what they're doing as they're shooting at the creatures. But there's really social contagion, shared delusion, alcohol-induced vision. That doesn't really sit well with me as the theory. Another theory is that it was a hoax. This one again doesn't really sit that well with me. Some people believe that the family was trying to get fame or to make money off of the encounter, as seemingly proved by the fact that they did charge fees to the tourists. But I really genuinely believe, based on what I've read about the family and about the other things around this encounter, that they did that kind of as a last resort to get people to leave them alone. And none of them seemed like they wanted the attention, especially the matriarch, who was the one who actually lived at the house. She seemed kind of like she was no nonsense and didn't enjoy the limelight at all. So I'm not sure I really like that theory either. Yeah. As always, with any of these things, this isn't a theory that gets tossed around a lot, but I got to throw it out there. Potentially angels or demons of some kind or something. I mean, who knows? Said it at the top, saying it at the bottom. Now the theory that I think is very close to what you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
What did people think the Jersey Devil or the Mothman could have been? What's something that people thought those could have been?
A fake bird.
Owls.
Isaiah has a really good owl impression. I don't know if you've heard it.
That's
I'll
adorable.
do my best impression of Isaiah doing an owl. You say, Isaiah, what does an owl say? He says, "Hoo hoo."
That's adorable. It'd be better if it was him.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I love him.
So yeah, there is a specific owl, the great horned owl, has long wings that could be seen similarly to arms potentially. It has big tufts on its head that could look like pointed ears, which they reported that these creatures did have pointed ears.
It doesn't have knees.
It doesn't have knees. Its eyes do glow yellow at night, and it does have a round head.
They do backflips when you shoot them.
Yeah. Joe Nickel, who is a senior investigator for the International Committee of Skeptical Inquiry, believes that this is the case. He argues that they could have just been reflecting the moonlight, and that's why they had kind of the shine to them. His argument also alleges that another thing I forgot to mention. When the police officers were headed to the house with the family, one of them reported seeing two meteors going overhead in the opposite direction. So like going away from the house. Yeah. And so Joe Nickel's theory includes that the meteors seen 5 hours after Billy Ray had seen his at 7 p.m. could have explained that part. However, I find it hard to believe that these country boys who grew up in rural Kentucky couldn't hit a single owl.
Uh-huh.
I find that hard to believe. And the great horned owl, it's not necessarily known to interact with humans often in general, let alone for 4 hours as it's being shot at. And typically, the way that they will interact with people is if they get too close to the nest, and they don't interact like these creatures did. They're aggressive in those cases. Yeah. But these creatures weren't aggressive. They were curious. So I don't really buy the owls theory.
Picture this. You're hunting owls. You pull your gun up, you're ready to shoot one. It raises its wings and begins slowly approaching you.
And then it does a backflip.
Shoot that thing for sure. And this one's rabid.
Yeah. The other theory, the final theory, I suppose, is extraterrestrials. The government's UFO Research Committee, with Project Blue Book, did not find any reason to believe this claim. But they also didn't really do much research of their own, and they relied on the military police, who had only been there the first night and didn't see anything, and didn't really get a chance to take any statements either. Then in 1956, so the next year, Isabel Davis undertook an incredibly thorough investigation for the encounter with Ted Blocher that was published by the Center for UFO Studies, which was founded by the civilian, like the civilian investigator of Project Blue Book. Now, this nearly 200-page report included detailed maps, interviews, official documents, as well as accounts of similar sightings around the world. The main concern of this document is the lack of physical evidence, and that is a hard wall to climb over. But at the same time, Isabel Davis argues that none of the other explanations give a valid enough answer.
I think there's a valid enough answer and that none of it happened.
So, it was a hoax?
Yep.
See, but why?
I don't know, man.
There is the belief that it could have been. See, here's the thing. None of the explanations just explain for me everything. Like, if these people are all being honest, which they seem to be honest people, they seem to have been upstanding people in the community. They never did anything like this at any other point in their lives. They didn't like the fame. They didn't like the attention they were getting. They didn't make a lot of money off of it at all, if any. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know why they would make this all up. And none of the explanations that I can think of or that I found properly explain what they described. Yeah. The official explanation that most official people go with is the owl's explanation. Yeah. And I don't like that theory. That doesn't make sense. I don't buy the owls. Yeah, I don't buy the owls.
I buy hoax before I buy owls for sure.
Yeah, and I don't that one just doesn't sit right with me, and that goes to what I believe could be possible of extraterrestrials, which again is the angels or demons thing. But again, what would they have been doing? What's the purpose of them appearing that way and doing sick little backflips? Is it angels just being like, hey man, backflip, or demons being like, hey, watch me do a backflip? I don't.
Do not be afraid.
See, that's actually why the angels had to say it, is they were just doing sick tricks and flips, and people were like, whoa, dude, that's terrifying. And it's like, nah, man, be chill. But yeah, so those are the main theories. Again, nothing, it hasn't happened since. And to something that similar, apparently there were similar encounters, but I did not read the 200-page report. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So let's talk a little bit about how this has impacted pop culture.
Great.
In the late 70s, Steven Spielberg began working on a sci-fi horror movie that was called Night Skies, based on the event, but it unfortunately would not be released. However, the movie E.T. was loosely based on this encounter.
Makes sense.
The 1986 comedy horror film Critters was based on this event.
I know that one.
There is a creature in Pathfinder called the Hobkin that is loosely based on these creatures. Actually, so that is another theory that I forgot to bring up because I didn't write this one down. I was in a hurry putting the theories down. Interdimensional goblins.
I do love that. I looked up Hobkin, and the very first thing that popped up was Wikifur, which appears to be a wiki for furry stuff. So I hope this doesn't make any huge changes in my personality.
No, so the interdimensional goblins, or as they are commonly known, gremlins. Mm-hmm. Apparently, in the early 1900s, especially early in aerial warfare and stuff, people would claim that gremlins were sabotaging airplanes and stuff like that. They'd see little creatures, little green men on their airplanes doing damage to them and stuff. There are people ufologists who believe that it was gremlins that were just goofing with the family, because what do gremlins do? They just cause havoc.
They goof.
They just do silly things. They goof around. Sometimes they cause damage that kills people. We don't talk about that. Most of the time they're just curious. Yeah. Sometimes they cause plane crashes. Maybe it hits a tower. Who knows? Maybe they're in the White House.
In Uniontown, when I went to Uniontown before moving to Port Scott, there was a day that we decided to watch Gremlins in class. I don't know why the teacher was doing it.
In grade school?
In grade school. It's 4th or 5th grade. We're watching Gremlins. And then the movie's going on. The main, whoever, they throw a gremlin into the microwave and push start. And right then the teachers pause and they're like, we're gonna go to recess real quick for just a little bit. And then we went to recess, and then we came back, and they're like, "Yeah, so we're not going to finish this movie."
Yeah, that's not a kid's movie.
No, I don't know. I've got no idea how, like, what series of events led to this happening, but it did.
I say it's not a kid's movie. I'm almost certain I got it on VHS for Christmas when I was like 6.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I
Maybe
loved
maybe
it.
it's your fault. Yeah.
Like, I loved it, which is weird because I was terrified of everything, but I loved the Gremlins.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. We were gonna watch Aquila and the Bee. I've still never seen it because she swears, or like there are a few swears at the beginning of the movie, and so then the teachers are like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to recess real quick." Very classic strategy of theirs. And then we came back. We're not gonna finish watching it, which in my opinion was dope because I did not care to continue watching the movie about a spelling bee. Like, we're having a movie day at school. Get off my back.
See, there's part of me that's like, I can't believe they didn't like vet the movies better before trying to
Oh,
show
for
them to a group
sure.
of children. But then
For
I
sure.
remember that like my tolerance for movies is very different when I'm watching a movie at home than it is, say, when I get a group of elders together to try to show them a
Oh,
movie
yeah.
that I think would be good for a church movie night and realize very quickly, no, this would not be good for a church movie night.
No, I promise there are only like 5 more sex scenes.
No, it was, gosh, it was Priceless. Did you ever hear about it or see it?
No.
So it's made by the For King and Country guys, I think. One of them is the main actor for sure. And it's also got the guy who played like Uncle Earl in Hannah Montana in it. He was the football coach in some like comedy coach movie. He was also in Anchorman, the bald one. You would know him if you saw him.
Yeah, I pictured the right guy. I just didn't know his name. Not showing his name anywhere.
David Koechner.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, he was in the Anchorman movies. He was in Get Smart, Waiting, apparently a lot of episodes of American Dad,
Good for
The
him.
Goldbergs. Yeah. Anyways, so he was in that movie, but it's essentially a movie about a guy who like has hit a bad string of luck and he just wants to be able to see his kid, but he has to make money before he can do that. So he takes a deal to like transport a truck for someone across the border, doesn't know what's in it. Uh-oh, he's doing human trafficking. And it's like he briefly interacts with one of the girls because he finds out who they are, and then is like, man, I feel bad about taking money for trafficking them now, and tries to save them, and then becomes like it's just a long story about him trying to save them. It's a pretty good movie, a lot more intense than I remembered it being. I was just like, yeah, if we're
Yeah.
gonna like have a, we're gonna do a mission, like we're focusing on missions, so we want to focus on like Rafa House or like a some kind of human trafficking thing. And then I was like, cool, this is a great movie for that. And I was like, we could try to watch this. And then the elders were like, cool, we should screen it before we try to show it to the church. And we were sitting down watching it. And I was just like, I didn't remember any of this.
Yeah.
Wow. That guy just got shot.
That's funny. I feel like, with all due respect to churches, I feel like if you want any good or fun idea to be ruined, just run it by a board of elders.
Have a board or a committee get involved. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really, anything. Get a committee involved on anything, and it's ruined. I appreciate elders and what they do.
Oh,
I want the
agreed.
record to show. But I feel like if you're trying to show any movie, there's no way you can get a group of elders to all agree on the same movie.
Yeah.
Did you get them to agree?
I got them all to agree no.
Great.
We ended up doing I Can Only Imagine, which they all agreed was a good movie, which I think it is a good movie. Like, as far as Christian movies go, it's telling a true story, and those are the best stories we have to tell. Anyways, back to the pop culture influence. There was a Pokemon in Generation 5, Pokemon Black and White, that is technically based on these creatures. Its name is LGM, which sounds like the initials LGM for Little Green Men. And it's an alien Pokemon. Then, here's my favorite part, DJ. This is why it's important I only live 4 hours away from here. The Kelly community used to have a yearly event called the Little Green Men Days Festival. But sadly, it was canceled a couple years ago. indefinitely. However, Hopkinsville is keeping the festival alive.
Nice.
Not only do they have a festival called Alien Invasion Day on August 23rd, this year celebrating like what, the 60th anniversary? No, 70th anniversary? Yeah. Not only are they having a 70th anniversary celebration, Alien Invasion Day, this year, August 23rd, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., Hopkinsville, Kentucky, they're also hosting Goblin Con,
Love that.
which is a UFO and paranormal expo, October 17th and 18th of 2025. Listen to some of the special guests that are going to be at Goblin Con. We have Bryce Johnson, who is the host and producer of Discovery Network's Expedition Bigfoot, who's going to be there.
Nice.
We have Geraldine Sutton Stith, or Stith, I don't know,
So,
who is like I didn't save her specifically. She's like the great-granddaughter or granddaughter of somebody who was there.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. And she's written a number of books. Tyler Strand, who's an occult researcher. Ken Garrard, who's a cryptozoologist, author, researcher, TV personality. But there was one other name that I just thought was interesting. Tom Reed, who's a retired entrepreneur. This is what it says. Retired entrepreneur. Reed family incident. Lecturer and author. Reed is known for making a form of UFO history. His family's September 1st of 1969 off-world incident became the first to be officially inducted into the United States as historically true.
Inducted where?
Inducted into the United States as historically true by historians in the office of the governor. The state induction graced the front page of the Boston Globe and was covered live by ABC News, New York ABC News, New York. Tom Reed UFO Monument Park is located on Covered Bridge Lane, Sheffield, Massachusetts. A popular filming location for shows like Ancient Aliens, Unsolved Mysteries, Netflix, Travel Channel, Yes Theory, and New England something. But long story short, the dude apparently his family has an off-world encounter that has been historically documented as true by the government.
Pardon my eyes. Pardon my face. Yes, I believe it.
That one might have to, I'm going to have to look into it and see if that's even worth making it potentially an episode of its own, but it might be. Anyways, but he's going to be there. Lots of cool people will be at Goblin Fest. And you know what's really cool? Yeah, October. You know what's really cool about Goblin Fest? You get free entry and discounted hotels if you sign up as a volunteer.
I don't want to volunteer.
On a real note, genuinely, that could be one that we try to make it to at some point if we are going to do any of these things. Mothman Festival is one that I am going to at some point. Like, that's one that I don't care that it's far away. I'm going to Mothman Festival.
We'll go with you. I was actually talking to Alec about that. He lives closer than you do.
Yeah, we could all go. If we find one in Kentucky, wink, wink, Jacob Chandler lives in Kentucky. We could probably just crash at his place. If it's not that far, it might be far. I don't know. I don't know how far it is from Lexington. Yeah, Kentucky's not just as long as Tennessee. Anyways, so DJ, you kind of already told me what you think. You think it's a hoax, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I think it is. I don't really think it's a hoax. I don't really think it's aliens. I don't really think it's... I don't know what to think. But I don't think it's any of the options. Okay, let me rephrase that. None of the options that I'm given satisfy. But yeah, so that is the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter. There are a lot of details that are involved that I didn't get into, but this is a good baseline covering of the events and the things that happened afterward. So if you have questions about or your own theories, leave them in the comments below. If you have something else that you think would be interesting, leave it in the comments below. Again, if you're interested in joining us for an episode, whether it's for this series or just in general, please let us know, because we would love to have you on. As we've said before, this is a podcast where we get to hang out with old friends and make new friends. We really do enjoy that. Whatever happens, I want to say thank you to a few specific people. Thank you so much to historychannel.com or history.com, whatever it's called now, for a lot of this information. Thank you to a couple of YouTubers whose names I've forgotten that I might include. Thank you to Jacob Casey, Jared Scrother, Adam Ward. Thank you guys for being involved with us in the music world. Guys, go check them out. They're all really cool dudes doing really cool things. And thank you, DJ, for putting up with these wild, random stories that I'm coming at you with.
What are you into, Gage?
I'm into
Quickly scanning.
Cryptozoology A to Z by Lauren Coleman and Jeremy Clark. If you are interested in cryptids like I am, this is a fun book. It's actually a really good baseline book. It doesn't have everything in it by any means. I will go ahead and say that immediately. But it is just a basic encyclopedia that includes cryptids, it includes certain like alien encounters, it includes cryptozoologists. So like it has little biographies, like mini biographies for specific people who are famous in the world of cryptozoology. And then it's got other stuff like that. So it's a cool little book. It's really, I don't know, I think it's a useful resource for the series. And it's also one that I've just enjoyed over the couple of years that I've had it.
I thought I would have something by now. Oh, yeah, I guess. So since the last time we recorded, I mentioned last episode that I read Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green, the book. I also had finished like 4 or 5 books in that time. Not necessarily started, but like finished. So that's pretty cool, I guess. So I'm looking through my list to see which one I want to mention. Okay, this is a bit obscure, and I haven't finished it actually. Started reading it a while ago. Paddling the Yukon River and its tributaries. And it's just an old guide written in 2005 about how to paddle the Yukon River. And it's a good book. Good read. Yeah, I'm ready to go. So that's good. I'm sure nothing has changed since 2005.
Yeah.
Should be a good time.
Okay.
I also crochet stuff. Those are my hobbies. Reading, crocheting. Been playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Dude, I missed out on this. We did UFOs. I definitely could have had these hanging in the background.
Man, that would have been dope. That's all right.
I will for the next Alien episode, because we're going to do another Alien episode at some point.
Great. Now I know. Anyways, as we said, thank you guys so much. Huge shout out to Brayton and Garrett and Jake and anyone else who's still listening. Mom, maybe. We appreciate you all. But as always, we understand that our things sometimes aren't enough. And if that's the case, I mean this from the deepest, bottommost pit of my heart. Go thank yourself.